What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and to another Overwatch World Cup roster reaction video. In today's installment, by popular demand, I will be reacting to Team China's final 7-man roster. I know I'm a tiny bit late to the reaction for this roster just because it was revealed back on like July 29th, I believe it was, but hey, better late than never, am I right? Anyway, let's take a look at who made Team China for this year according to their Twitter. So the 7 players who made the cut are Jinmu, Elsa, Guxue, Leave, Eileen, Yveltal, and Keo. So my initial reaction to looking at this roster is that it's pretty solid from top to bottom, and the other thing on my mind is that this team is basically the Chengdu Hunters plus Guxue and Eileen because yes, Leave is on the Hunters now, he just won't be old enough to play until 2020. The one unfortunate thing for Team China this year is that since everybody knows who these players are, no one's going to underestimate them this time around. They don't have the element of surprise on their side this time. Okay, I think that's just about enough for the team as a whole as of right now. We'll come back to it at the end of the video for a little bit of a conclusion, but for now, I kind of wanted to just break down every single individual player on the roster, starting off with tanks, which means that first up is Guxue. And what else can I say about this pick other than that I absolutely love it? Guxue, in my opinion, was definitely the best option to have for Team China. I think you could make an argument for Among as well because of how good his Wrecking Ball is and how versatile he can be on the Reinhardt and the Orisa, but Guxue's just been so dominant this year, and last year he looked so good in the World Cup, so it kind of just seemed like a no-brainer to have him on the team once again. Guxue's just consistently good. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are either. He can be on a full Chinese team or be on a team with all Koreans with a language barrier, and he'll still pop off, and he arguably has the #1 Winston in the entire world. I personally am very excited to watch Guxue in the World Cup this year, and I know he's going to do fantastic. Also, I'm super happy for the guy. Now he gets to play more in his comfort zone. There's no need to worry about making sure that his teammates can understand him all the time since he gets to speak his first language. Moving on to the off-tank position, we have Elsa, and again, I'm not super surprised to see him on the roster. He's quietly been having a pretty solid season for the Chengdu Hunters this year. He hasn't been a god-tier off-tank or anything like that, but his diva has been very serviceable. The only other realistic option at this position for Team China was Late Young, but in my opinion, Elsa is just a little bit better, and I think that's pretty evident by the fact that he's usually the one to play for the Chengdu Hunters these days at the off-tank position, and plus, I don't think that Late Young's diva can compare to Elsa's. He's probably the better Zarya, but Zarya isn't really that important in the current meta. So yeah, in my opinion, Elsa was definitely the correct choice for Team China to make, and I think him and Guxue should make for a very formidable tank duo. Now let's talk about their DPS because in my opinion, their DPS trio is looking deadly. Let's start off with Jinmu. Although Jinmu has had some inconsistency issues here and there, for the most part, he has been one of the better players on the Chengdu Hunters, at least in my opinion. He's been a pretty formidable flex/projectile DPS player in the league this year. I'm pretty sure he can also play some Doomfist, but for the most part, he plays a lot of projectile, and his Genji, Pharah, and Hanzo have all proven to be pretty good. When Jinmu is on, he is a scary player to go up against, and I'm sure that every single World Cup team not named Team China is going to be hiding in fear if they have to play against Jinmu. Now we have to talk about arguably their most popular DPS player on this team, and that of course is Leave. Although he hasn't played a single second in the Overwatch League yet due to age restrictions, some people are regarding Leave as one of the best DPS players in the entire world. Not just in his country, but in the world. And I can't blame a single soul for feeling that way. The guy is a legend, and his hero pool is something else. Even though I'm pretty sure he mostly plays hit scan, he's shown the ability to more than dominate on heroes like Genji and Doomfist as well. Leave is so talented. I mean, he's just so mechanically gifted at the game. He's so much fun to watch. And if you've never seen this guy play before, then I guarantee you are going to be in for a really big treat when China takes the stage in the World Cup this year. Then, of course, we finally have to talk about Eileen, and in my opinion, he's actually a little bit on the underrated side. I feel that not a lot of people give this guy the recognition he deserves, and he oftentimes flies under the radar. Before Nero was eligible to play, Eileen was holding his own on the Guangzhou Charge in the starting lineup. He did pretty well on the Sombra, Doomfist, and Genji in particular. I'm really happy that Eileen potentially gets the opportunity to show his skills on stage once again, and the only reason I'm saying potentially is because I believe Eileen will come off the bench and that Jinmu and Leave will be the projected starters on Team China. I see Eileen as the wildcard type of player on Team China where maybe they utilize him in a way where he comes off the bench to catch his opponents off guard on a specific map, or perhaps he gets utilized on the very Doomfist and Sombra favored maps. So yeah, as you can see, Team China's DPS are looking really nice, and I'm sure it's going to be an absolute nightmare for any team to deal with. Okay, now we wrap things up by talking about the support line, and first up, I wanted to go over their main support, Yveltal, and I have nothing but good things to say about this guy. I think that he is a really solid player, and that he did well on Team China last year, and that he's been killing it for the Hunters this year with his Mercy and his Lucio. I don't think he's been a top tier main support or anything, but he's definitely nowhere close to the bottom either. What I like about Yveltal is that he's a pretty consistent player, and that he's not afraid to make the big individual plays for his team if the opportunity presents itself. It doesn't matter whether he has to whip out the Mercy pistol and get a kill or two, or maybe boop somebody off the map, you know that Yveltal's more than willing to try and make those plays. Sometimes that can be a bad thing for a support player because they get too carried away, then they end up dying and they throw the fight, but Yveltal's usually pretty good at not doing that, so I wouldn't be too concerned. Based off of what I've seen, Yveltal appears to be a pretty intelligent player, and he knows his limitations and whether or not he should go for a big play. Okay, and finally we have to talk about their flex support player, Keo now, and while I'm not angry to see him on here, it's a little sad that he's probably the best option available for Team China as of right now. No disrespect to Keo, I think that him and Yveltal have made for a pretty decent support duo in the Overwatch League this year, but Keo hasn't really done anything to stand out. But in his defense, that also means he hasn't been doing anything bad to make you think he's a bottom tier flex support, but he's kind of just this middle of the pack player who's not a huge playmaker, at least in my opinion. Don't get me wrong though, he definitely does have his pop-off moments on the Zenyatta and Ana here and there, but it's pretty inconsistent. At the end of the day though, he's probably an upgrade over somebody like Sky who's not even in the Overwatch League anymore. I don't think that Sky was bad for Team China necessarily, but I think Keo will probably be a little bit better. Not only do I believe Keo is a bit more skilled than somebody like Sky, but also he fits in really well in terms of the synergy with this team since he has 3 of his Chengdu Hunters teammates alongside him. Anyway, that's my thoughts on all of the individual players, so overall, to wrap things up and give my final thoughts, I believe that Team China is going to be really scary this year, like probably better than last year. This is up for debate obviously, but in my opinion, this is Team China's best team yet. With the exception of Team South Korea, I believe that China could take down basically any other country in the World Cup tournament. I see them as a top 3 or 4 team in the tournament at the very worst, and I would honestly be shocked if they didn't at least make it into the bronze medal match. And with that being said, that basically sums up how I'm feeling about Team China heading into the World Cup this year. If you guys did enjoy today's content, then I would appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. Also, if you want to see more Overwatch World Cup roster reaction videos in the future, then make sure to let me know down in the comment section. As always, thank you all so much for watching today's video. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, this is ATP, signing out. Peace.